you know
It
what?
said,
I do know what I'm talking about, and you're wrong. So it's like, shut up and take it.
Are you getting yourself worked up in all this?
I know.
I can hear your in your voice.
I know.
Just you're like, get him, get him.
There is this posting on LinkedIn, and I shared it with you already. Pretty much just talk about, don't do this to the Scrum Masters. So one of the comments that's out there is, if a Scrum Master were given such situation, okay, should they stay or should they go? Now, this viewpoint that's posted basically says, do not do this to your Scrum Master because your Scrum Master will leave.
When I saw this, when you showed it to me a couple of days ago, I was on the oh heck yeah. I mean, why would I? Why? Because you're going to splash it on the screen. I mean, I think that I've seen 80% of just those ones that are listed there. I've heard it, been there, part of it. So like I understood the post, what they were trying to accomplish by like, hey, look, these are the don'ts to say around a scrum master or a coach. Because what it is that it's they're jabs. They're not necessarily, so if you're boxing, they're not a big punch. They're jabs at, hey, this is what I do. This could be that kind of stinks to hear. That was my first reaction. The more and more I thought about it, I didn't even go into the comments. I just read it, took it for what it was, reflected on it. And then I thought about it and I said, well, okay, this is an opportunity. These statements are an opportunity, possibly an opportunity for deeper conversations. Like these should be signals of, like, for example, the one that really stood out because I heard this one recently is that retrospectives are worthless or useless. They don't do anything. I heard that one and I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. This is wherever the organization, the individual, the groups of people, the team that's saying this maybe doesn't see the value of having that kind of a conversation. I don't care what you want to call it. You want to call it a retrospective, a postmortem. There's like 1,000 names for it. But it's just, hey, let's just get together and have a conversation around the what's going well and what's not going well, or let's just reflect really quick. How are we doing? So to me, it's like, I think that when I hear somebody say retrospectives are useless, I think that there's more behind it. I almost want to do the 5 whys, like, why do you feel this? Why do you feel that? Why do you feel that? And I think that there's more of a root cause to it. And they're not necessarily going after the fact that it's a retrospective, but they're going after I don't know why we're doing that activity. And I looked at that list and I'm like, yeah, they're saying that about all of it. I don't see the value in any of these.
So how much is enough? So in other words, is there let's assume that, let's take a situation. I'm a new Scrum Master, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just got my CSM and I find myself in a company. I just got, right out of CSM school, got my cert, fresh, spanking new, right? Found a company, hey, come on in, Richard. We want you to come in as a Scrum Master. I got in there and this is what I see. What is your advice for this Scrum Master?
Okay, I'm really glad that you went there because the second note, I was taking notes, and I'm gonna pause real quick on your question, and I'm gonna lead into it because I saw the comments, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's terrible if the Scrum Master leaves. It's terrible. Is it not terrible?" But they were like, "Scrum Master shouldn't leave. That shouldn't be a detractor. That should be an opening for a conversation." And I'm like, all right, well, that's because you've probably been doing this for a long time. For somebody who is just brand new to this would be a shock and awe. Like, I've just learned about all these things and I'm walking into an environment where they're telling me, oh, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. I don't know how to handle said situation because I don't have that experience. I haven't been battle tested to know, okay, this is an opportunity for a conversation. So to me, I understand the Scrum Master saying and freaking out and saying, I'm out. I need to be somewhere where this is a healthy conversation. But so I want to put that out there for any new Scrum Masters that are watching this and be like, yo, I feel you. I've been there. Richard, how many times have you been there too?
I mean, we hear this all the time. I hear Scrum Masters coming to me and say, "Hey, Richard, this is what I'm facing," and then
Yeah.
what advice would I give this person? So in my mind is growth, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, as a coach, I care about the person that I coach, right? It's about their growth.
Yep.
What is it they're going after? Do they have? I think for me is, do they have the supporting pillars around them to go through those? Because I've seen so many Scrum Masters that went through it, and after 5-6 years, they're not doing the right thing, right? And then they come across as, doing the wrong thing, and us as coaches coming in like, what? You've been doing this for 6-7 years, and why are you doing this, right? And I feel bad for them in a sense.
I agree. I have seen that situation before as well, where yeah, they're fresh coming out, and then all of a sudden, like there was one there, walk the board or move the ticket for them or do this. It's like, hey, if you don't have the experience and like that's all you're exposed to, then that's what you're going to do, and that's all you know. And it's like, well, hey, I've been here and I just move the stuff on the board for them, or I compile their notes for them, or
I
whenever the
set up
product
meetings.
owners, I set up meetings. I'm a, and like that's their reality. And that's the thing is like, I saw the comments and I'm not going after anybody, but I said, I saw people like, hey, no, it's an opportunity. No, I acknowledge somebody's reality first. Like maybe this is all that they know and this is an opportunity. Don't leave. But do they have, I love what you're saying is, do they have the supporting infrastructure around them to navigate that? Like if you're on your own and you have nobody really there, like, oh no, it's okay. This is how I handled it in this situation, or this is how I would go about it. Mentor them, which I think is going to go into a future topic of anybody can coach, but mentor them and coach them through it. If you have that supporting infrastructure, then I would say I would agree with the comments and say, no, that's don't leave. You can learn there.
Yeah.
But
So
if you're all by yourself, that's a
yeah,
different situation.
yeah. So okay, so when we talk about flip this to a very experienced coach, right? Experienced coach may come in and say, "Hey, yeah, I've been through this rodeo before. I see the symptoms. I know how to fix this thing, right? I can go in, I can do that." So that's a yep, no big deal. I'm experienced, I can do this. Now, however, having been through it and been through, let's say, how many wars can you take, right? How many wars can you take before you say, you know what, it is too large of a problem for me to fix. In other words, the organization doesn't seem to want to do it. They say they do, but they don't want. It's like playing poker. Do you go all in, or do you figure out the risk is too high and you fold?
I I get worried. I get worried whenever I hear myself say, like I say to like, oh, I've been here before. I know how to fix this. Like I get worried for myself because I
Hmm.
reflect on it. And I'm like, you don't know how to fix this.
Hmm.
Every situation is completely different.
Hmm.
You've been in a situation like it, but it doesn't mean you know what's going on here.
Hmm.
And a lot of the time, Richard, what I in times, and I think we've both have learned this over the years, is it's not as easy as, oh, just fix this problem. Most of these things that we see in organizations is, and I'm going to go probably do a deep dive here or go into just touch on something that's very deep and just touch and go, but they're like they're systemic issues. And one person, one coach can't fix a system. And that's what, I'm going to go back to the comments. If you look at the comments are very hyper focused on fixing one particular problem or one particular area. We hear that when we're in engineering. Walk the board, do this, do that. Retros are useless. Don't coach the org. That was the other one I saw there. Just focus on the teams. And I think that would frustrate an experienced coach, because an experienced coach will come in and say, "Yeah, okay, I see these issues. There's more to it. I want to dive deep and start asking questions and get curious about the system at play." But you're telling me, no, don't worry about that. But then I'm as a coach saying, look, I can fix all your problem, or I can't fix them. I'm gonna say, let me rephrase that. I can set up the environment for y'all to make the decision to fix these issues here in your world, but you're not giving me, we're not exploring what's filtering in and what's coming out.
Hmm.
And if you don't acknowledge that, guess what? I, as a coach, will come in here, consult for about 3 or 4 months or 6 months or a year, walk away, and guess it'll all just come crumbling down because you're not
Yeah.
looking at everything around you.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah, it can impact both a new coach and an experienced coach because we're looking at different levels.
at the end of the day, if I'm in that situation, what am I looking for?
Mhm.
Right? Am I looking for a challenge? Am I looking, what is my why to being in such environment? If there's new Scrum Master, my advice for them is, how strong do you have a support system? If you do not, you probably want to go to somewhere that is good first, so you can learn what good looks like, and then find somewhere else that's challenging. Does that make
Agreed.
sense?
Or have a good support system around you that's not part of the organization. So,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
if you're in an area in the community, like Raleigh, where you're at, Raleigh's got a great community where you can bounce
Yeah.
situations and ideas off of and ask questions, like so you don't feel alone. It's the don't feel alone. If you
Yeah.
feel alone, or if you are alone, it's going to be 100 times more challenging than as if you have a support system, whether within the org or support system outside of the org. I'd say, heck, do that if you're a new Scrum Master or even an experienced. Like having a support system is so necessary.
Yeah. And I think I go back. I remember that Bob Galen, telling me, "Hey, Richard, you're in a great space right now, but eventually you got to get off the yellow brick road."
I love it.
And I remember to today when he said to me, and it's like, "What? Why? I got it good here." It's like, no, yeah, you got it good going right now, but you gotta leave to go to be better, right? To
Yeah,
grow yourself so that you can be better equipped for handling much more difficult stuff.
agreed. I will also, if we're gonna, there's a quote we're saying by another one of our older colleagues or our former colleagues. Sue Fires used to say, "You gotta kiss a few frogs
Before I find a prince.
before you find a prince." And I used to laugh at her when she would say that. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool saying." But after having kissed quite a few frogs in my career, I understand where she's coming from, and it's number one, it builds it builds character. It's another thing. So I'm throwing cliches everywhere, but it builds character, but it builds experience, and it also helps you appreciate the good times, and it also helps you navigate the challenging times.
Yeah.
So kudos to Sue, kudos to Bob. Get off that yellow brick road, Richard.
At the end of the day, I think what
Yeah.
we're saying is that we don't have all the answers. There's not one answer to fit all. It goes back to the individuals, to environment, and goes back to what they're trying to look for, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Beware of anybody who says they have the answer, because they likely don't.